Alright guys, there are unexplained things happening probably right here. Like, I don't know, the fact that I could put my hand through my hand somehow if my molecules were just right. But they're not just happening right here, they're happening all over the world. They're happening in your house, in mountains, rivers, everywhere. Let's get into it. Starting off our list today, move over, chocolate rain, because I want to talk to you about animal rain. And yes, it's exactly as it sounds, unfortunately. While the phenomenon of flightless animals falling from the sky alongside the rain is uncommon, it has happened, and it's happened more than once. Instances of frogs, tadpoles, spiders, fish, eels, snakes, and worms raining down from the clouds have all made their mark in the history books dedicated to perplexing and inexplicable natural phenomena. Perhaps the most well talked about example of animal rain took place back in 2000 in Ethiopia. Millions of fish, some dead, some fighting for their lives, fell from the sky with rains down onto the incredibly horrified people of Ethiopia. While scientists have theorized that incidences like this are due to these animals getting swept up in tornadoes and waterspouts, it's never actually been observed. And that also wouldn't explain how all of the animals don't just drop down in one place. It's a mystery, and honestly, it really needs to stop. Next up, we have star jelly. What is star jelly? Well, I am so glad you asked. I figured, seeing as we just talked about animal rain, now would be a good time to talk about yet another type of rain. Thick, slimy, gelatinous rain. Maybe. Honestly, scientists really have no idea what star jelly is, other than the fact that it's been around since the 14th century and was likely used to treat abscesses, is often found on trees and in grass, and it's known to evaporate shortly after it's been seen. People have attributed the strange jelly-like substance to alien excrement or government drones, and scientists themselves have theorized that it might be frog eggs that have expanded due to rain, but there is a major flaw in that theory because the jelly does not contain any plant or animal DNA. It's truly a strange and unexplainable mystery. Next up, we have ball lightning, an unexplained natural electrical phenomenon that has been a subject of curiosity since 1834, when it was reported that massive balls of fire had descended from the sky and set a ship on fire, killing everyone aboard, and a subject of scientific research since about a century later, when it was recorded by a British occultist that a dazzling globe of electric fire had appeared in the skies above his cottage. Believe it or not, ball lightning, massive balls of electric energy in the sky that last for many seconds, can travel great distances, and have been known to travel through closed windows, while untraditional, are not actually uncommon. As I said, it's been around for centuries, and while scientists have been able to closely observe it, they are still yet to be able to explain it. Next up, we have a mysterious and possibly inexplicable illness known as Havana Syndrome that has largely affected the health of United States diplomats, intelligence officers, and military personnel, who all reported experiencing severe headaches and nausea after hearing an unidentified and unbearable piercing grinding sound coming from what seemed like inside of their heads. The illness first surfaced in 2016 at the US Embassy in Havana, Cuba. Since then, more than 1,000 cases have been reported, all by United States government employees living across the globe, many of which have also experienced nausea, bloody noses, dizziness, memory loss, and cognitive impairment, and some of which have required long-term care after having been affected. While the majority of this illness is unknown, it has been theorized by officials that it could have something to do with sonic weaponry, possibly coming from Russia, a weapon that emits a very specific frequency that triggers the illness. I mean, I know it's just a theory, but it's also literally terrifying because, I don't know, it could be used in global warfare. It's terrifying. Next up, we have the Hessdalen Lights, which can be seen low in the skies along the Norwegian countryside. They are lights, mysterious lights that seem to appear and disappear out of and into thin air. They glow either blue, red, or yellow for short periods of time, and their origin is completely unknown. That's why it's on this list. Scientists have absolutely no idea what could be causing the strange phenomenon to occur. What they do know, however, is that the flashes of anomalous light date all the way back to the 19th century, and the majority of sightings were recorded in the 1980s, during which time 20 eyewitness reports were being submitted to police stations per week. That's like 1,040 per year. The lights are quite well known now, so while no one is reporting them to the police, the Hessdalen Lights are still a popular topic of perplexing conversation. There are theories as to what the origin of the lights could be, theories including ionized dust and, of course, UFOs, but as of right now, there is no definitive answer. Next up, did you know that sometimes light is produced directly prior to an earthquake occurring? If the answer is no, don't worry, because neither did I until recently. And while scientists are aware of the unexplainable production of these lights, they also have absolutely no idea why or how they happen. So basically, now that you know they exist, you can consider yourself as smart as your country's greatest minds. The light is a white or bluish flash that lasts only a few moments directly before the beginning of an earthquake, and they have been recorded for centuries. And the first picture of this phenomenon was taken in 1960, and since then scientists have been scrambling to figure out just why this happens. Of course, as is with the majority of unexplained earthly phenomena, there are theories as to why the flash occurs, including piezoelectricity, the process in which crystals convert mechanical energy into electric energy; frictional heating, the transformation of frictional energy produced during a friction process; and electrokinetics dynamic, electrically charged fluids, but they really have no idea. Next up, we have slime mold. This is one of my favorite things in the world, and it's one of the smartest things to exist on Earth, despite the fact that it literally has no brain. But so do some people I know. Slime mold belongs to the phylum Myxomycota kingdom, and while it does have many properties that mimic those of fungus, it is not considered to be a true fungus because of the fact that slime mold ingests its food, while fungus produces enzymes to break down organic matter into chemicals that are then absorbed through their cell walls, not ingested. It's semantics, really. Like I said, slime mold is smart. So smart that it can solve mazes, keep track of time, and it's even good at city planning. Back in 2010, an experiment was conducted in Japan. Slime mold was placed into a model maze of Tokyo, along with nutrients that were placed wherever a major hub existed. The experiment was done to see how the mold would structure Tokyo's subway system if it had been in charge of city planning at the time in which the subway system was built. Well, lo and behold, the mold made it through the maze, hitting every major hub in the city that required a subway system, and sure enough, city planners agreed that the mold's version of the subway system far surpassed the current system in place. How did it do this? Scientists have no idea. That's all I got for you. Next up, we have sliding rocks, also known as sailing stones, located in California's Death Valley. The phrase sailing stones or sliding rocks refers to an inexplicable phenomenon in which massive stones, sometimes weighing up to several hundred pounds, make their way across the desert, moving along the smooth floor of the valley with no outside interference, leaving behind a map of where they came from in the form of a trail etched into the disturbed ground behind them. Not only do these rocks journey around the plains of California's Death Valley, sometimes they decide that they don't like where they're going, and so they fall over, exposing the side of themselves that was once on the ground to the sun. They change directions, and they continue on their revised way. While some scientists believe the rock's movement is due to strong winds, thin sheets of ice, and wet mud, as of right now, they are still not 100% sure. So I'm gonna say these rocks are just out on the town looking for adventure. Next up, we have a rather sad, inexplicable phenomenon, and that is the fact that every year, up to 2,000 whales beach themselves and essentially commit themselves to an early demise. And scientists have no idea why, and despite the fact that this has been happening for at least a couple thousand years. While there are some cases in which intentional beachings make sense, such as age and illness, the majority of mass beachings just don't. As far as you, me, and the scientists know, there is absolutely no rhyme or reason as to why these beautiful creatures exhibit this behavior year in, year out without fail. Oh, and to make matters worse, it's not just whales, dolphins do it too. Considering the fact that so many whales are currently endangered, I really do hope that we can figure this out soon, and maybe we can figure out something to do that might help. And finally, we have the cursed sleeping city of Kalachi, Kazakhstan that has left scientists completely dumbfounded since 2013, when all of a sudden residents of the town began falling asleep out of nowhere with no explanation for hours and even days at a time. time. The strange phenomenon, which has yet to be understood by scientists, affects people in the village of all ages and genders, and those who are affected also experience side effects such as hallucinations and memory loss. While the reason for these ailments that affect 1/4 of the village's population has yet to be pinpointed, scientists have begun questioning whether or not the large amounts of uranium found in a nearby Soviet-era uranium mine might have something to do with the mysterious illness, although the government of Kazakhstan adamantly denies the possibility of that being the case, because if it were, people actively working in the mines surely would be suffering the same effects, only worse, which they aren't. Apparently. Anyways, regardless of the cause, the village was mostly evacuated in 2015. The status of the affected individuals remain unknown. Okay, you guys, there it is. Some unexplained things. If you can explain them, let me know. If you can't, I don't know, give it your best shot. I've been your host, Hannah Thompson. It's been fun. As always, I'll see you next time.